cozy friends, welcome back to the Cozy Hermit channel. If you're new here, my name is Lynn and welcome to a cozy reading vlog. I've been meaning to do one for so long, so I'm glad to finally be doing one. This morning I have finally finished reading a book I've been reading for a month or something, and it was called The Sugar Queen, and I absolutely loved it. So I already talked about what the book was about in a previous video, but in case you weren't there, I'll just explain it again. So The Sugar Queen is about a young woman called Josie Serini, and she is from a very rich family. Like her dad used to be very rich. He passed away years ago. Now she lives with her mother in a very big Victorian mansion, and they've got their own housekeeper. But Josie isn't happy. She just kind of exists to drive her mother from one hair appointment to another hair appointment, or a manicure. And her mother doesn't even really appreciate her because Josie used to be a very unpleasant child, and her mother still feels that she embarrassed her too much when she was a child. There's still a very bad juju between mother and daughter, and the only fun thing Josie has going for her is eating candy and pies and all kinds of treats, and she has all of those stashed away in a very big walk-in closet she has in her bedroom. And that's the only fun thing she has. But then one day her life completely changes when suddenly she finds a woman in her closet. And this woman is called Della Lee, and Della Lee refuses to leave. And I'm going to leave it at that because that is the main explanation of the book. When you read the blurb, it doesn't say any more than that. And I don't want to spoil anything because if you decide to pick this book up, which you should if you're into cozy romantic books with a slight hint of magic in there, it's magical realism, and the magic that is part of everyday life, it's just very subtly written, but it is there, and it just kind of it adds this sparkle of fairy dust over the book. It's amazing. I love it, and I don't want to spoil anything too much because I was really pleasantly surprised, and the ending was so beautiful. And to be honest, there was a twist at the end. Some people might have seen it coming, but I didn't see it coming at all. So I was really surprised, but it explained everything. Yeah, I loved it. It was really, really beautiful. It was kind of emotional too, but in a happy way. So it left me feeling really, really happy. So I'm so glad I read this book. And I've got another book by this author called Garden Spells, which I now cannot wait to read. So once more, if you're into cozy, romantic, magical realism books, please give The Sugar Queen a try. You will not regret it. It's really, really great. I love it so much. So I have picked out my next book, and no matter how much I actually want to read Garden Spells, I've decided to read another book because I have been wanting to read this book, Our Cursed Love, back in November or December. I wanted to read it for Christmas because it takes place in the final week of December. Yeah, I'm a bit late, but since it is still winter, I just want to channel the winter vibes. I bought this one last summer and I had already planned oh, I'm going to read it in November or December, and then I didn't. But anyway, I'm going to read it now, and it looks so good. It is written by Julie Abe, who is also the author of Eva Evergreen, the semi-magical witch. I read that book last summer and I absolutely loved it. So, which is why I instantly bought this book when I saw it was by the same author. It looks really, really fun. So it takes place in Japan. I think you could have seen that because Mount Fuji is here. But it takes place in Japan, and it sounds so good. So I'm going to read the blurb real quickly to you. So Remy is in love with her best friend Cam, and a winter trip to Japan provides the perfect setting to tell him how she truly feels. But when a mystical tea leaf reading reveals that they're not meant to be together, Remy and Cam find themselves in search for answers. Then they are offered an ancient soulmate elixir, but upon drinking it, they are plunged into chaos and Cam's memories of Remy completely disappear. They must travel through Tokyo to rediscover Cam's memories and make new ones. And if Remy can't help Cam remember before midnight on New Year's Eve, they'll be cursed to forget each other forever. So that is why it is called Our Cursed Love. It sounds so good. It sounds so good. So I can't wait to read it. And you can smell it, but believe me when I say this book smells so good. I love ebooks. I love ebooks. I'm not one of those purists who only read physical books, but there is one thing that ebooks don't have, and that is the smell. That is the smell of a book. smell of paper. It's so good, gets me high. Anyway, so I'm excited to start reading this one. So let's dive right in. And once I've read a little bit, I'll tell you my first thoughts on the book. So Suki has returned, and I just want to have like a really quick chat with you about the book, Our Cursed Love. I'm about 30 pages in and I love it. I love it already. And there is like magic plays a much bigger role in this book because the main characters, they actually know that magic is real. And there is like a magical school apparently in Tokyo, which I would totally believe to be true, by the way. And I love it. Like they can see magic, they can sense magic. They talk about brewing potions and all that kind of stuff. It adds like an extra layer to this story, which is so much fun and really unexpected because it doesn't really say in the blurb. So I am pleasantly surprised. I'm really enjoying it. So if you have read Our Cursed Love, feel free to leave a comment down below in the comment section, or whether you want to read it, just let me know too. Anyway, I'm going to continue reading it. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'll keep you posted. So, hey friends, welcome to a very sunny Sunday. And I have finished reading Our Cursed Love, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm going to say one but. I kind of wish that the book were a little bit longer. Like, I think it would have been really great if it would have been like 100 pages longer. Could have really used that because I think there would have been just a little bit more depth to the story. And I kind of felt like that the ending was a little bit rushed. And it wasn't that the ending wasn't well done, it was really well written. And actually, the ending really needed that sense of urgency. And it was there, definitely, because I was like, oh my god, like my heart was pounding while I was reading, because I was like, how is this going to end? Is this going to end well? I'm not going to tell you. But there were like a couple of plot twists in the end, which were so incredibly surprising to me. Like, I did not see them coming. I mean, probably some people who have read this book were like, oh, could see it from miles away, but I didn't, okay? So I was really surprised, and I was really impressed with the plot twist, and I was like, this is so cool. And I kind of wish that, I know, there would have been a little bit more time to just dive into that, because it was so interesting and really cool. But apart from that, I honestly really enjoyed this book. It was really well written, and the pacing was just, it was nice. It was a little bit too quick for my taste. It could have, well, been a little bit slower maybe. There were like places they visited all over Tokyo. For example, they also went to the Ghibli museum, and I was really excited when they were talking about it, because like, oh my god, that is so cool. I want to read about that. And then before I knew it, they were already out of the museum, and I was like, I don't know, it would have been cool to read like a couple of details from the characters being there, but anyways, that's also a choice of the author, I guess. But apart from that, I really enjoyed this book, so I would definitely recommend it if you want to read a book that takes place in Japan, and that is like kind of like slice of life romance with some whimsical fantasy angles to it. So it has like magic. The characters are really fun. They're all very likable, so I enjoyed reading about them. The main two characters are great. They're really sweet together, and I just like that their love for each other was portrayed very sweetly and very wholesome, and very, it just felt very genuine, and I really enjoyed that. And there was also a passage near the end which I thought was really beautiful, and I kind of wanted to share that with you. It's been a while since I did this, so this is the passage I really enjoyed. Take those big moments and those quiet moments too. The ones that no one realizes are perfect but are so damn special. Even if it's just the sunlight dancing on the rim of a cup, or a sip of tea before it gets too cold. Happiness is so fleeting, and contentment even more so. Life is about chasing happiness. Chase those moments that shine brighter than starlight, and spend time with those people who make your life glow. I just thought that was really beautiful. I mean, that's really what life is about. It's about, well, usually it's just about the little things. I mean, there are big moments that are important too, but it's usually really about the little things that just make up everything. And I thought it was really beautifully written in this passage, so I really liked that. And there were more beautiful passages in this book, by the way. Yeah, so definitely really enjoyed Our Cursed Love. It was beautiful, and I'm excited to read more of Julie Abe in the future. So I need to look up whether she has any more books. I still need to read the sequel to Eva Evergreen, so I still need to get that one, but I'm already excited for that. And then I really want to look up whether she has written more by now, because I really love her writing style. Now then, the next book I'm going to read, I want to tell you about it. Like, we're not going to read it already in this video, but we'll start reading it in next week's video. But it is called The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, and I got this book as a birthday present a couple of years ago. Still haven't read it, but then I was reading Our Cursed Love, and this book was mentioned in this book, and it kind of felt like a sign. I was like, you know, it's like this book is telling me to read this one, so I'm excited to dive into this one. So this one is recommended to people who really love Ghibli movies, and especially Spirited Away. Spirited Away was my very first Ghibli movie I ever saw, and wow, that is kind of why I will forever love that movie. And the story sounds really incredible, so I'm just going to read the blurb for you real quickly in case you don't know this book yet. Everyone in Mina's homeland knows the legend that when the sea god meets his true bride, he will end the deadly storms that have ravaged them for generations. So every year a beautiful maiden is sacrificed to the sea, and every year the storms return. When her brother's beloved is chosen, Mina knows the loss will cripple him, and at the last moment she throws herself into the water instead. Swept away to the magical spirit realm, she comes face to face with the sea god, trapped in an enchanted sleep. The only way to save her people is to help him, but Mina doesn't have much time. A human cannot live long in the land of the spirits, and there are those who would do anything to keep the sea god from waking. It sounds so good. I am so excited for this one. I don't know why I waited so long to read it. Well, maybe I do, because sometimes you are so excited about a certain book and you have such expectations, and then sometimes I am just afraid to start reading it because I don't know, I guess I'm scared my expectations won't be met, but it just sounds so incredible. And I'm ready to dive into this one because this one taught me to read it. So I'm excited for that. Also, is it just me or is my nose turning really red? Anyway, as for other books I wanted to read, because I had promised that I would share some books that are on my to read list. I'm not going to share my entire to read list because then we'll be sitting here for hours. But I will share some more books that are like in my immediate to read list. So I was already talking about Garden Spells at the start of this vlog, I think. Which is written by the same author as The Sugar Queen, which I finished reading at the start of this video. It's another magical realism book and I'm really excited for that one, so I cannot wait to read Garden Spell soon. Then there is The Hat Makers, which I bought last summer, and I had actually meant to read this one like in the winter, and actually my plan was like November, December of 2024, but I didn't read a lot during that time. So I haven't had the chance to read this one yet, but I'm really excited for this one too. It is a fantasy book, and it is about a girl called Cordelia who comes from a family of magical head makers, and it just sounds really cool. I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of House Moving Castle of Sophie, who works as a head maker at the start of the movie and the book. It's probably completely different from House Moving Castle, but it gives me that kind of vibes. Okay, that's what I think about when somebody mentions head makers to me. Yeah, excited about this one too. It looks really cool. And then another book which I mean to read in the very near future is Legends and Lattes. I bought this one just a bit before Christmas last year. Yeah, it sounds really cool. So it is about Viv the orc who opens a coffee shop in a world, in like a fantasy world where none of the creatures have even heard of coffee. So it sounds really funny, but I've also heard that it is really heartwarming and very wholesome in a way. So it sounds really amazing. So I really want to read this one too. Someone, I think here on YouTube, one of you guys, one of you cozy friends, mentioned to me that it is like a great book to read during autumn, but it's going to take a while before it's autumn. So I'm just going to read it like late winter, early spring, which should work nicely. But if I really enjoy it, I can always read it later again during autumn. So I'm excited for this one too. So those are 3 books I really want to read very soon. So we'll talk more about that in later videos. So yeah, that is my final bookish talk of today. And I think I'm going to wrap it up here. And yeah, well, stay tuned if you want to know more about my thoughts on The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I'm going to start reading it in next week's video. So we'll talk more about it then. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and just let me know, have you read any of the books mentioned in this video and what are your thoughts on them? And if you've got like any recommendations of really cool fantasy novels or like slice of life books, magical realism, feel free to share them down below in the comment section, or just any book you think I might think is interesting. Feel free to share them down below. I always love book recommendations. It might take a while before I actually read them, but I always love hearing your recommendations because I have found out about some really cool books thanks to you guys. So always grateful, always excited to hear from you guys. So anyways, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this book vlog, and if you did, please consider hitting the like button, maybe even subscribe to the Cozy Hermit channel if you haven't already. I hope you're all doing well. I hope that you are having fun reading as well. Feel free to share your current read down below too. And yeah, until we meet each other again, as always, stay cozy.